family's journey with everybody, because my husband has seen such amazing, like, such positive change. Justin is someone who he's active duty military. He's an endurance cyclist. He's never been overweight. He's never had like chronic health issues, or at least not enough that it made him feel like he had to do anything in his life. He was always very pro conventional healthcare. I mean, military. Just seeing the military doctors, and if any of you are familiar with what military healthcare is like, it's very. They do not do root cause. They're very like slap a band-aid on it. They take care of symptoms and get you out the door. There's like an ongoing joke on base that like they have dispensers of like Motrin and Claritin. They're just like, oh, your allergies, give you Zyrtec Claritin. Something hurts, give you a Motrin. See ya. Um, so my husband, when we first met, like I was already kind of eating healthier. I was vegan back then. I always kind of ate organic, mostly dairy free, and we were dating, so he was trying to impress me. So he was like eating whatever I was making. And we got married, and we both definitely weren't like making the best choices in our late 20s before we became parents. We definitely drank a little too much. We both used to smoke cigarettes. I know I used to smoke cigarettes. Crazy, like another life. So when I made this change in my life, when I did the big overhaul, and I did the first Whole30 and then kind of stuck paleo and just doing AIP, Justin at first was kind of like sitting and watching. He had this like, let's see how long you stick with this attitude, or I won't believe it till like I see you go see it through kind of thing. And I get that. Like I had definitely yo-yo dieted so many times. During our relationship, he saw me try all the things. And of course, like many of us know that normal story of like you do some crazy diet, you crash because it's like it's too many, like calorie restriction or whatever, like Weight Watchers and all those programs that are just not sustainable. And I did them all, right? So Justin really was like, yeah, I'll eat whatever you make at home, but I'm also gonna buy soda and order pizza every Friday and eat ice cream all the time. And back then, he would also drink almost every day. I mean, it was like beer or some cocktails, like, but it was quite a bit. I mean, he was never drunk during the day, like he never like not at work or anything like that. But he was definitely drinking very like a lot. And I was too for a while, but not since I had Jack because I nursed him forever. And I think that started driving kind of a wedge between us. We I was eating healthy and trying to heal my body. I stopped drinking altogether during the healing process because alcohol is not allowed on the autoimmune protocol or on a Whole30. So I was realizing that more often than not, I was just not drinking. And when I tried to reintroduce alcohol early on, it just wasn't working for me. And I mean, I really wanted it to work. I tried several times, but there came a point where I just said, it's not worth it. And it's interesting when you're someone who drinks quite a bit. And I'm not saying like everyone has to go be sober, because I still drink every now and then. But I think that if you're lying to yourself about having a problem, that's a problem. So when I realized that I was still kept going back to this thing that I knew was doing me harm, I was like, all right, let's just stop. And then that really, him and I started like, like I was up early on the weekends and he was sleeping in because he had been up all night and things like that. So we definitely hit that like fork in the road where I was like, listen, I'm really going this way. And it seems like you're still going this way. And not to sound like a control freak, but everything I'm doing here is going to better our experience as a family, our son's experience, like being more present, more active, waking up early to go to the beach or go to the gym or go on a hike together. And with the food stuff, and it's hard. I realized that it was harder for him to make lifestyle changes than it was to make dietary changes. Cause he's like, yeah, I'll eat whatever you cook, fine. But yeah, anyways, he gave up, he gave up drinking, altogether. He did realize he had a problem and he's like, I can't moderate it. So I'm just going to abstain completely. And that was a really big catalyst. So that's the big change I say he made, because people are always like, but dietary wise, he's not 100% gluten-free. He's not even paleo. Like he eats whatever he wants when we go out or when he's at work. But he'll buy Cheez-Its. He loves Cheez-Its. The man loves Cheez-Its. Believe me, I've tried to like make other help, but he just loves Cheez-Its. But he lowered his sugar intake. It took a long time. He quit soda. So he went first from regular Coke to Coke Zero. Actually, first from beer to Coke, and then from Coke to Coke Zero, and then from Coke Zero he went to LaCroix. And now he just drinks LaCroix. So got rid of soda. He switched from using like Coffee Mate vanilla, French vanilla creamer full of garbage to grass-fed whole milk with a little bit of honey. He switched from like Chobani yogurt, which like conventional sweetened Greek yogurt, it's like you might as well be eating ice cream. It's like 18 grams of sugar for that little cup. So, he made these small changes, and a lot of it was, I didn't nag as much because this has been over the course of 6 years, give or take. But there was a lot of, look, I'm committed. Look at the change in me. It's a positive change. Lead by example, plus a little bit of nagging, but like in a nice way, kind of like, hey. So if you have family members that you feel are not giving you resistance, but like, yeah, I guess if you're doing something positive and you're certain that what you're doing is for the betterment of your family and yourself and your health, don't go all like evangelical on people, because it's just going to turn them away. Like the only thing I was hard on him was the drinking, obviously, because that was kind of like wrecking our marriage in so many ways. And I was, not that ultimatums are something to be used lightly, but it came to that. And luckily it worked out to our advantage. But since then, there's been this constant evolution where he started cycling. He started working out more. His energy, he de-swelled. I have to show you guys. I posted it in my stories. If you see the before and after of Justin, like he was never overweight. I mean, in that picture, he looks overweight, but he really wasn't. Like he was like a 32 or like a 33, 34, waist 6 foot guy. But he just like de-swelled. Like the swelling that went down in this man's face and like his body and how his energy changed. And I remember just one day he came down the stairs and was like, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Thank you for, giving me this, holding the space for me to change and evolve. And I remember like that moment I like exhaled, because for a long time I thought he was doing it for me. And of course, if you're going to change for someone else, it's not going to be sustainable. But in that moment, I realized he was doing it for himself. And I had this huge sense of relief. And I felt like I no longer had to like worry that he would, relapse or backpedal. And of course, his eating habits are still here or there. But he did volunteer to be my practice client for my first nutritional therapy client. And in these small changes of reducing sugar and processed foods, of adding more frequent meals, bigger meals. The man was a constant snacker. I'm like, bro, you need to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Try to snack less in between, have bigger meals. So he packs leftovers from lunch. He, makes his little overnight oats in the morning, and he puts chia seeds in them, and little changes like that. He's sleeping better. He's recovering better from his bike rides. So don't get someone who's eating McDonald's every day and say you have to go paleo overnight. They're gonna be like, you crazy. Like, no, it's too much. In nutritional therapy, like we look at little baby things, whether it's just adding fat. Let's say you look at someone's diet and you're like, oh my God, these people are eating super low fat. They don't have enough fat in their diet. I'm not gonna go in and say, you gotta reduce all your carbs and eat on fat. No, I'm gonna just say, let's add some fat. Let's add some grass-fed butter. Let's add some coconut oil, some olive oil to your meals. Let's see if it helps you stay, longer. And then from there, then next you start saying, maybe we can do slower carbs. Maybe instead of, white bread, we can do sprouted whole, it doesn't have to be big changes overnight. Just because I have to be AIP, paleo, keto, all the things, I can't do nightshades, doesn't mean that my family or the people around me aren't going to thrive, even with small changes. And these really small changes, they will snowball, because once someone feels better, when someone goes from feeling like crap to feeling amazing, they know when they don't feel amazing anymore. It's like really obvious. So let them discover that for themselves. You have to let them discover that for themselves, because if we think, I want you to feel how I feel right now, you got to make all these changes, you're going to just terrify people and scare them away. And that's not the way to get people to change. And I know this is what I do for a living, get people to change their diets and their lives for, to heal. But I also know that just because what worked for me isn't what's going to work for everyone. People tag me in posts all the time. They make my recipes and they add white rice to them or gluten-free pasta, or they put them with this. And I'm not over there commenting saying, ah, you ruined it. It's not keto. No, I'm saying that's amazing. Beautiful meal. Good job. Baby steps are so important. Absolutely. It's really the way to affect lasting change. And like just because someone kind of gets stuck in something, like and they're not changing as fast as you think they should, doesn't mean they're doing it wrong. Like everyone has their own journey. And like baby steps forward is better than backtracking or staying in the same place. Time is going to pass no matter what. If they've made baby steps, they're already doing better. So with Justin, that was the big thing, baby steps. And we're still baby stepping. I just started him on some supplements to help with blood sugar regulation and adrenal support. I ordered some other stuff to like maybe switch him from taking those sugar goopy things, like which he still eats on his bike rides, little things. But once but I didn't start from the beginning like with that. Just the fact that he's out there riding his bike all the time is amazing. The fact that he can do it, the fact that he's, so I will say though, and this is something that I think unfortunately a lot of people deal with. If you're in a relationship that's not supportive, if your partner is puts you down or doesn't respect your decisions to change your body. It's one thing if you're imposing your beliefs on everybody. That's annoying. No one likes that. But if you're just like, I'm over here taking care of myself, bettering my life, doing my thing, and the people in your life, whether it's your spouse, your siblings, your roommates, your best friend, whatever, are like putting you down for it, that's not okay. That's not okay. And you have to expect and what's the word? Like have a higher standard for relationships in your life. Because those kind of people, they're never going to change. You're never going to be able to affect them. They're toxic. So you have to be able to say, like, what is it in you that you're getting angry, that you're getting triggered by my wanting to better my life? Because think about it, like you wanting to change doesn't say anything about them. It has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with you. So if you're in that kind of dynamic, then I would just try and say reevaluate. And I get it. I was there. My marriage wasn't always perfect. We had that. I mean, there was that, I call it like that winter. We had a December that we almost broke up. And I remember that like when he hit his like rock bottom with drinking and like he was just acting a fool. And I remember thinking, hey, Justin, like telling him like, I'm not this kind of person that's in this kind of relationships that like I don't feel okay or that I don't feel like supported or thriving or even like safe, I guess. And so I gave him the ultimatum and I remember thinking like this is terrifying. Like, oh my gosh, what if he decides to like he's like, okay, bye. Like what would I do then? But he took it as an opportunity to realize how that he was using it as a very unhealthy coping mechanism. And I knew that. Are you kidding me? I could see it from a mile away. I'm like, bro, you need therapy and you have really crazy like coping mechanisms. But I wasn't going to tell him all that because he wasn't in the space to hear it. So instead I just said, listen, this dynamic we have going on, it's not a healthy situation. I don't feel supported and I feel like you say one thing, but then you act another way. And we get to that point where you're acting in a way that like, I'm not okay with that. Like, I'm not okay with being in the house when you're acting like this. Like and so he changed and not just for me, but for our son. And I think that was the original reason. But once things started to clear up for him, it was this snowball and his life turned around and every aspect of his life began to lighten up. He was excelling at work, excelling at cycling, socially, emotionally, and it's continued to evolve. Where now he's, reconnected with his siblings and he's it's just amazing, this transformation in his life. And a lot of it was started because I decided to change my life instead of supporting both of us, like enabling each other in unhealthy habits. It took one of us to kind of, I didn't like drag him through it, but it was a combination of I'm changing my life. My standards are getting higher. Now I'm expecting this of you. And I remember writing him a letter like a year after all that. And, and I remember saying, thank you. Thank you for choosing us. Thank you for, I know I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you if you wanted to change. I didn't ask you if you're going to be okay with us going from a certain type of lifestyle. We were both like partiers and all that stuff. Like that's how we met, to now like health centered, active, like pretty much sober house. I didn't ask him if he wanted that. I went in that direction. In my gut, I knew it's what our family was going to be best for our family, for our child. And I was kind of like, the train's coming, going this way. Like, we're going this way. Are you coming? And he did. He was like, okay. I mean, maybe kicking and screaming a little bit, but he came along for the ride. And I don't take that for granted, but I also know that I'm worth it. And so is Jack. Like that's what we deserve, right? You deserve that. You deserve people in your family, in your life, in your family, and your partners, and that are going to lift you up, and you're going to raise each other up. Yeah. So anyway, I think I don't talk that much about his change and the things that have transpired in his life because, he's not on here, but I think that it's important for other people to know that I don't have this, like, I've made all these changes in my life. I built a business around these changes. And I don't expect the people in my life to eat and live exactly the way I do, but I do expect there to be a standard for overall mutual respect, and overall like goals. Like I think it's okay to say, I want to share my life with other people who are going in the same direction, who are taking care of themselves and want to have energy and want to be positive and want to be active and like, do things to do that. Like, because if not, it'd be so hard. It'd be so hard to do this alone. And so even though our paths are not identical, they're parallel. So if you have someone in your life that you keep freaking out about, like, but you're not eating this or you're not eating that way, smaller changes and lead by example. Like, you don't have to have them do exactly what you do, but the small changes make a freaking huge, huge difference. And it takes time. Give them time. Be patient, be patient, because there's things that he stopped doing, like his Pizza Fridays. He stopped doing that on his own. I didn't have to tell him. I'm like, you really should have made it Papa John's. There's things that he looks back and says, oh man, I don't do that anymore. I just stopped wanting it. So yeah, that's been Justin's change. And now today he turns 39 and he looks better today than he did when I met him. So, he definitely, like, it's just incredible, like aging in reverse, for sure. So yeah, if you have people in your life that you want them to change and you're worried about them, just remember, small things make a big difference. And even just lifestyle things, like he goes to bed earlier, he doesn't stay up as late. That's a huge one. He gets outside more. And just reducing inflammation was a huge thing for him. So yeah, it's been cool. And it also makes my life easier in the sense that, I don't know, it's like, it's nice to be in a relationship where you're like, meet each other in the middle. So that's just my little PSA story for the day. I think honoring my husband on his birthday, I'm so proud of how far he's come and all the changes he's made. And also a reminder, especially for anyone out there who's in a relationship, that if you don't feel like you have a partner who's willing to support you or meet you halfway or, rise to the occasion. That's what I was like. It's okay to have that standard where the people in your life should rise to the occasion to better themselves, rise to the occasion to support you. Then, they have to take a hard look at why they're not ready there, why they're not there. And if, I get it, everyone's got baggage and everyone's figuring things out in their own way, but, you're worth it. You're putting in the work. You deserve to share your life with people who are also willing to do the same. I'm going to go now because I'm starving. I had 2,000 meter row at Orange Theory, 7 minutes, 40 seconds. Hi. So I'm famished. Yes, thank you. Happy birthday to Justin. I'm going to make him a Simple Mills paleo chocolate cake today with vanilla frosting. I got the stuff at Target, so they have the Simple Mills stuff. And I got him a Soda Stream so he can make his own LaCroix. See, so now from LaCroix, now we're going to do Soda Stream with essential oils. I have the citrus Harvest, and then the lemon from Young Living that I got as a gift. So we're gonna use that, and I'll let you guys know how it goes. Okay, I really need food. I'll see you guys later. If you ever have someone in your life who you feel like needs to watch this and hear this story, remember it's on my YouTube channel. You can find it at the Castaway Kitchen on YouTube. And it'll be here it'll be on Instagram for 24 hours, but on YouTube forever. So have a really good day, guys. Bye. And